Claire Hayes arrived at the Hayes Family Foundation headquarters minutes before the grand opening of the annual Grant Allocation Summit. At 34, she was a rising partner at Monroe and Blackwell, specializing in nonprofit law. Her husband, Adrian Hayes, 36, a venture capitalist, had co-founded the foundation with her. Today, they would present its accomplishments to board members, donors, and community leaders. Sunlight poured through the glass atrium as Claire smoothed her navy blazer. She felt a familiar mix of pride and fatigue. Months of late-night meetings, reams of grant applications, and endless board presentations had culminated in this event. Yet alongside that weariness rested a deep confidence. In law school, Claire and Adrian had met at a moot court competition. She argued nonprofit governance. He helped secure seed funding for a tech incubator. Their shared vision had blossomed into a marriage, and eventually, a thriving philanthropic venture. Adrian joined her on stage, as polished and self-assured as ever. In unison, they delivered opening remarks. Thanks to your generosity, last year we distributed $3.2 million across 34 community programs, scholarships, health clinics, and small business loans. Adrian clicked to the next slide. Pie charts showing a 12% endowment increase. The audience applauded. They exchanged a triumphant glance. Another successful presentation. Afterwards, at the outdoor Rose Garden reception, donors applauded Adrian behind his back. Such leadership! A model couple. Claire exchanged polite smiles, but sensed a faint edge in his eyes, as if he awaited an unspoken challenge. Later that evening, Adrian suggested dinner at L'Etoile, just the two of them. He pressed a champagne flute into her hand. "You were amazing," he murmured. "Let's celebrate." Claire tried to relax. Over filet mignon and truffle risotto, Adrian discussed next year's plans, expanding the foundation's healthcare grants, partnering with overseas nonprofits. She listened but couldn't shake a creeping exhaustion. Still, they toasted to success. In that moment, they seemed inseparable. Monday morning arrived with an unsettling email. Urgent, discrepancies in Q3 financials, from Marisol Chung, the foundation's chief accountant. Claire forwarded it to Adrian and continued her work. Minutes later, Adrian called. "Marisol's email was a mislabel, just a clerical error. I'll have her fix it." His calm tone suggested no cause for alarm. But by Wednesday, Claire noticed unusual entries. A $250,000 wire transfer to an account labeled Maplewood Invest, lacking any board approval. She dug deeper on her laptop, cross-referencing IRS filings and internal ledgers. The transfer carried Adrian's digital signature. Confusion and dread overlapped in her chest. That evening, she confronted Adrian at home. He entered the living room, briefcase in hand, glancing at her laptop screen. "What's this about?" She showed him the transferred funds. "Why did you authorize a $250K payment to this offshore account?" He frowned. "It was an investment opportunity. Maplewood is launching a health tech startup. I can't disclose details yet. Trust me." Claire's heart pounded. "No board vote, no documentation. You just signed off?" Adrian's expression hardened. "You're overthinking this. Let me handle it." He walked past her, as if dismissing a bothersome child. Claire sank onto the sofa, pulse racing. She realized that behind the polished image lurked secrets he refused to share. Determined to uncover the truth, Claire contacted Evan Mercer, an old law school classmate and head of a forensic accounting firm. Within 48 hours, Evan's team was at the foundation offices, sifting through records. By Friday, they reported 3 unauthorized wire transfers, totaling $1.80 million, to Maplewood Invest, Eastern Bridge LLC, and an offshore Cayman account. No legitimate purpose, no board approval. Each bore Adrian's electronic signature. That same day, Claire stumbled upon emails in Adrian's work account to a junior program officer, Jessica Carter. The subject line read, "Counting down." Inside lay flirtatious banter, hotel reservations, and promises. "I'll leave her soon. Just wait for me." Claire's vision blurred as she scanned messages spanning 9 months. The evidence was clear. Adrian had not only betrayed the Foundation's trust, but her marriage. That evening, she waited as he arrived, late, smelling of scotch. In the living room's dim light, she handed him printed emails and transfer records. His face registered fury. "How dare you violate my privacy?" Claire's voice trembled. "I'm your wife. How many lies have you told? More importantly, what did you do with those millions?" Adrian glared. "You have no right. Stop this." "Stop lying," Claire cut in. "I know about Jessica. I know about the shell companies." "You think you can blackmail me?" His words turned icy. "I'll file for divorce. On grounds of mental instability, tell the board you're obsessed with false narratives. I'll get custody of the kids. You'll lose everything." Claire's heart crumbled, but she kept her voice steady. "If you're so confident, show me board documentation proving innocence. Otherwise, I'll turn this over to the district attorney." He spun away, silence crashing in the room. Claire exhaled, mind racing. To protect herself and her children, she would need more concrete proof. And a plan. Within days, Adrian orchestrated a covert smear campaign. Anonymous blog posts surfaced. "Claire Hayes, unfit leader. Has Claire been embezzling? Foundation at risk." The local paper ran a speculative piece. "Is Claire Hayes too emotional to lead?" In board meetings, whispered doubts circulated. "Can we trust Claire with finances? She's been erratic, screaming at staff." Adrian quietly met with key trustees, suggesting Claire's decisions jeopardized the Foundation's stability. Many nodded, uneasy. Claire's phone buzzed with supportive messages from Marisol and Evan, but also cold ones from former friends. "Hope you get help. Sad to see you crumble." Even at Monroe and Blackwell, colleagues glanced at her warily. Some suggested she take a leave of absence for personal reasons. Refusing to be silenced, Claire hired Sylvia Nguyen, a fierce divorce attorney with experience in high-profile cases. Over the next week, Sylvia guided her to compile evidence. Evan's preliminary forensic report, Marisol's signed statement confirming unauthorized transfers, Jessica Carter's affidavit admitting the affair and acknowledging Adrian's deception. They also sought character witness statements from Claire's close friends and colleagues, prepared to attest to her professionalism and emotional stability. In private conversations, Claire felt the weight of isolation. At home, 5-year-old Max asked, "Mommy, is Daddy mad at you?" She forced a smile. "We're having big problems, but Daddy and I still love you." Her 8-year-old daughter, Hannah, watched with worried eyes but said nothing. Claire kissed them goodnight, resolve hardening. She would fight to protect her children and her reputation. By midwinter, Adrian filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences and implying Claire's instability made her unfit to care for the children. The press, sensing scandal, camped outside the courthouse. Flashy headlines blared, "Hayes divorce, who's the villain?" Philanthropy in turmoil. Paparazzi snapped photos of Claire arriving, her face composed yet shaded by pain. Inside the courtroom, Adrian's attorney painted Claire as a volatile spouse. She accessed restricted financial files, engaged in wild accusations, clearly unfit. Sylvia countered with controlled calm. Witnesses attested to Claire's impeccable parenting, volunteering at school, helping Hannah with homework, lovingly attending Max's soccer games. More importantly, the forensic audit, presented by Evan, documented Adrian's $2.3 million in unauthorized transfers. Jessica Carter testified under oath. "Adrian assured me he'd divorce Claire. He said I was the future." The judge deliberated. Weeks later, her ruling granted joint legal custody with primary physical custody to Adrian, citing Claire's ongoing litigation and emotional distress. Claire could see the children only on weekends under supervision. It was a bitter blow. She left the courtroom under a flurry of camera flashes, determined to appeal once Adrian's criminal case proceeded. After the custody ruling, Claire pivoted to protect the Foundation. At a board meeting, Adrian's allies argued for temporarily removing her from all Foundation roles. In a tense vote, marginal support saved her seat, though stripped of co-chair duties. Carrie Davenport, the Foundation's counsel, advocated for her. Claire has been transparent. We need her guidance to restore trust. Claire organized a small donor luncheon at Lenora's, inviting key trustees and major contributors. Over salmon salads and Chardonnay, she presented Evan's finalized audit, detailed flowcharts of money laundering, invoices for luxury hotels and private jets, all traced back to Adrian's signing. Leonard Townsend, a long-standing donor, stood. It's clear Adrian betrayed our mission. I move to suspend him pending criminal investigation. Chairing the board, Davenport called a vote, unanimous in favor. Within days, Adrian was stripped of all authority. News outlets reported, Hayes Family Foundation ousts co-chair amid felony probe. A banner on a local news site read, Hayes scandal, $2 million embezzled. That evening, Claire drove home through uptown streets blanketed in snow. She'd protected the foundation, but her personal world lay in ruins. A shattered marriage, 2 children living primarily with their father. Still, she resolved to rebuild, for their sake and hers. Spring unfurled across the city. The Foundation's annual gala, usually a glamorous affair, had taken on a new tone. Rebuilding trust was this year's theme. Claire, now senior trustee, was entrusted to chair the event, knowing it offered a platform to redefine the organization's image. On gala night, the Grand Marquis' grand ballroom shone under crystal chandeliers. Long tables dazzled with candelabras and white linens. For the first time in months, Claire felt a flicker of pride as she greeted guests, board members, beneficiaries, loyal donors. Each handshake and whispered word of support reminded her of why she endured this turmoil. Carrie Davenport opened, "Welcome to an evening of renewal. Despite recent challenges, our mission endures, to uplift communities through education, healthcare, and small business grants." He introduced Evan, who took the stage to present a concise timeline of the Foundation's restoration. Removal of Adrian as co-chair, restructuring the endowment, launching independent oversight. The audience responded with polite applause. Between courses, filet mignon with truffle juice, seasonal vegetables, and a flourless chocolate torte for dessert, video testimonials played on the large screen. A scholarship student, now a medical researcher, credited the foundation. A community health clinic director described how funding saved hundreds of lives. A small business owner thanked the foundation for a startup loan that fueled local job growth. When dessert plates cleared, the lights dimmed. Claire rose from her seat, heart pounding. She walked to the lectern. No scripted remarks, only honesty and resolve. Good evening. I will be candid. A year ago, our foundation was shaken to its core. I discovered that a trusted co-founder, my husband, had misappropriated over $2 million. He betrayed not just our marriage, but the very mission we pledged to uphold. Because of that betrayal, we lost donors, endured media vilification, and I lost primary custody of my children. Murmurs rippled among the crowd, but Claire continued undaunted. Yet tonight, I stand before you not to dwell on pain, but to honor those who refuse to let deceit define us. To Marisol Cheng, who flagged the irregularities. To Evan Mercer, whose forensic team uncovered every misdeed. And to each of you, our donors, who stood by this foundation, even as rumors swirled that it was beyond saving. Around the room, eyes glistened. Claire paused to let her words sink in. Our mission is larger than any individual's betrayal. We have implemented rigorous oversight, transparent financial reporting, and an independent audit committee to ensure this never happens again. If we adhere to these principles, we will continue changing lives. Applause filled the ballroom. Some donors rose, applauding Claire, tears in their eyes. Reporters from major outlets recorded every word. Claire felt a surge of relief and quiet pride. She had reclaimed her voice and the foundation's future. In mid-June, prosecutors indicted Adrian Hayes on charges of grand larceny, money laundering, and wire fraud. Courtroom testimony painted a damning portrait. Forged board signatures, false invoices, luxury travel and accommodations billed to the foundation, and explicit email evidence of his affair with Jessica Carter. Under cross-examination, Jessica recounted how Adrian promised he'd divorce Claire once this was over. The trial concluded swiftly. On a sweltering July afternoon, the judge sentenced Adrian to 8 years in state prison and ordered $2.3 million in restitution to the foundation plus $500,000 to a trust for Claire's children. Flashbulbs popped as cameras captured Adrian's sullen face. Claire sat in the gallery, trembling but composed, hand resting on her son Max's shoulder. Both children, Hannah and Max, had been brought in for a brief visit. Each wore a small "I love mommy" button. After the verdict, Claire walked out into the summer sun. Reporters clamored, "How do you feel?" She answered, "Justice was served. Now it's time to rebuild my family and this foundation." A month later, Claire's appeal for sole custody was heard. Armed with evidence of Adrian's emotional manipulation, bringing Jessica to their children's events, berating Claire in front of them, the appellate judge reversed the earlier order. He granted Claire sole legal and physical custody, with Adrian entitled to 2 supervised visits per week. In the courtroom, Claire felt the weight of relief settle over her. Within days, Claire moved her family into a modest townhouse in a quiet suburb. They traded a sprawling mansion for a warm 5-bedroom home. Cozy living room, small backyard, and an open floor plan. Hannah painted her bedroom walls sky blue. Max chose forest green for his. Each space brimmed with laughter as they unpacked boxes together, forging new routines. That autumn, Monroe and Blackwell invited Claire to join a newly formed family and philanthropy practice. Grateful yet cautious, she accepted. Her first-hand experience with the foundation crisis made her uniquely qualified to advise nonprofits on governance and ethics. By October, the Hayes Family Foundation had fully transitioned to an independent board. Carrie Davenport became permanent chair. Marisol Chung was appointed executive director, her MBA completed. Claire served as senior trustee, with oversight over financial compliance. Under their leadership, the foundation launched the Hayes Integrity Fund, scholarships for students studying nonprofit management and ethics. On a crisp November morning, Claire hosted a small gathering at the townhouse. Friends from her law firm, board members, and neighbors. A single turkey cooked in the oven, sides were lined up on the buffet table, and the October harvest, pumpkins and gourds, adorned the mantel. Hannah wore a grateful sweater. Max donned a thankful t-shirt. They ran circles around guests, sharing stories of their first days at their new school. Rachel, Claire's sister, raised a glass. To Claire, for standing strong when deception threatened to destroy everything. You've rebuilt a foundation and a family. Claire took a slow sip of her cider. I couldn't have done it alone. To family, friends, and the resilience that guides us forward. Glasses clinked. Conversation flowed memories of summer trials, balanced with hopes for the coming year. Late that night, as the children slept upstairs, Claire and Sylvia debriefed in the kitchen. Every milestone, custody victory, board restoration, scholarship launch, felt like a brick laid in a new foundation stronger than the last. In December, Claire's first book, Ethical Foundations, a Case Study, was published. It blended her personal journey with practical advice on nonprofit oversight, financial transparency, and crisis management. Invitations to speak at conferences, universities, and board retreats poured in. She traveled sparingly, Hannah and Max in tow, sharing her story and guiding others to guard against ethical breaches. Winter's quiet settled over the new Hayes home. Snow blanketed the yard, and the dogwood sapling Claire had planted last year now stood bare yet resilient. One cold evening, as the children decorated a small Christmas tree, Claire watched their laughter warm the room. She inhaled the scent of pine and cinnamon, heart lightly aching with bittersweet gratitude. Adrian, incarcerated hundreds of miles away, had become a distant headline. His name, once synonymous with power and prestige, was now linked to betrayal. He had contacted Claire through lawyers, requesting a holiday visit. She refused. The children were not ready. Their tiny faces lit by the tree's glow, Claire told them, "Daddy loves you, but we need time apart." They nodded, silent understanding in their eyes. In January, the foundation dedicated a new ethics and transparency wing at headquarters. A plaque read, "In honor of Claire Hayes, for courage, integrity, and the unwavering pursuit of truth." At the ribbon cutting, Claire addressed a gathering of board members, donors, and beneficiaries. This wing stands as a testament that when betrayal strikes at the heart of a nonprofit, we can rebuild, but only by placing transparency and accountability above all else. What began as a personal crisis has become a catalyst for positive change. Thank you for believing in our mission. Amid applause, Claire saw familiar faces: Marisol, Carrie, Leonard Townsend, each reflecting genuine respect. Reporters recorded every moment, yet the cameras no longer felt intrusive. They bore witness to a story of resilience, not scandal. Months passed, seasons shifted. In April, Claire enrolled the children in a neighborhood spring festival: games, crafts, and a petting zoo. She watched Hannah clutch a lamb, Max chase painted eggs, and felt a surge of joy. Each milestone, first ballet recital, Little League game, reminded her healing was ongoing but real. One afternoon, as Claire worked in her study, drafting a keynote for an upcoming nonprofit summit, Max peeked in, clutching a drawing of their family. 3 stick figures under a rainbow. Hannah entered with a frisbee. Claire set aside her notes, drawing them outside into the backyard. They tossed the frisbee as sunlight warmed their faces. Liam, now 2, toddled behind, shrieking with delight. In that moment, Claire felt a profound calm. The shadows of betrayal remained, a lingering ache whenever she thought of Adrian, but they no longer defined her. She had rediscovered her purpose: a mother, an advocate, a guardian of principles she held dear. Nearly 2 years after the scandal first broke, the Hayes Family Foundation had regained stability, endowment returns climbed, and grant applications surged. The Hayes Integrity Fund had awarded 20 scholarships to students committed to ethical leadership. Claire had established a boutique practice in nonprofit law, advising boards on governance best practices. Her book became required reading for nonprofit MBA programs. Hannah and Max thrived in their new school. They wore their red scarves, symbols they made for Mommy's Courage Day, to every winter event. Liam, now 3, chattered about Mommy's office and publishing books. On a clear autumn evening, Claire walked through the foundation's garden, now tended by volunteers and filled with native wildflowers. The sun dipped low, casting golden light over marble statues dedicated to past honorees. She paused at the corner where an engraved bench bore a single line: "Trust, once broken, must be rebuilt with unwavering devotion." Claire placed her hand on the cool stone, recalling the journey from blissful union to harrowing betrayal, then to redemption. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply. In the distance, the city skyline glimmered. Behind her, children's laughter drifted. Hannah and Max chased each other among the flower beds, and Liam toddled after them, clutching a stuffed fox. Claire joined their play, arms outstretched as they ran toward her. She scooped Liam into her embrace, their laughter mingling in the crisp air. As dusk settled, Claire looked toward the horizon, heart full. Those shattered vows had once defined her life. New vows guided her now: to protect her family, uphold integrity in every endeavor, and serve others with transparency. In that promise lay her true legacy, far stronger than any betrayal. And as the final glow of sunset faded, Claire stepped forward, unafraid, resolute, and unbroken.